Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Red, White, and Ruthless on this beautiful Saturday night. And if you noticed, I got my co-host back. Brett McDurphy's here for the first time. I don't think he's in a limited snap count anymore. I think he's going to be back in action for full time. So, Brett, how you feeling today, buddy?
I am feeling good, man. I don't want to reveal my face until after the intro, but it's going to be a pretty big reveal. Let's put it that way.
All right, so then let's get to that intro then.
To the top of the league, weapons by his side, and that defense hella mean. Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. I said Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. Yeah, come on. J17 leading the charge. Buffalo Bills on the rise. Passing game on point, ain't no mirage. Happening right in your eyes, ain't no surprise. Buffalo stacking the QB. Stephon Diggs something in the past. Group cars in, have it go deep. We're circling wagons, just wait and see. From Wyoming to the NFL, Josh Allen's got the skills. Air raid, deep ball, touchdowns for real. Leading the Bills to playoff thrills. Real time, this ain't no drill. Cold game, we're giving them chills. Check the score, now you know the deal. Nickel City Mafia.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. You have seen him for the first time in about a month after a freak accident. I am back to normal, looking pretty good. I don't look like Maverick like Mike Fortin said I would, but I'm back to pretty much normal. I do have a little bit of an issue here on my face, as you can see. Do have a little bit of a crack in my tooth, but we have about another week before that will be fixed, and I'm looking forward to that. But man,
haircut looks good, dude.
Yeah, it's back to normal. So this is the first time that Sean has seen me in about maybe 3 weeks after the pretty much the look that I had in the hospital. He hasn't seen me since then, but I feel pretty good. I'm going to tell you that right now. I feel good, look good, and I'm pretty much back to normal. It was a scary accident. I'll explain what happened. I was going to the store, and pretty much as any kid would do, you know, I acted like I was 5 years old, and I tried to pull a wheelie on an electric scooter and ended up falling on my ass, and I ended up going to the hospital, having 75 stitches later. Facial, a little bit of reconstruction, as you can see. They did about maybe 2-3 hours worth of work. I had every scan in the book. I was not wearing a helmet, unfortunately. And, you know, I was taken by ambulance, and it was a scary day. I remember it all the way up to the end, you know, going down to the ground, but I'm glad to be back. Let's put it that way. But I'm going to be an advocate for helmet safety. It's super important. I have neck injuries. It's been, you know, crazy going through the process of what I've gone through. I will tell you this right now. It's freaking expensive, dude. I'm going to tell you this. And it's going to end up costing me, because it's out of pocket and everything, close to about $50,000 out of pocket, which is pretty damn scary. You know, I'm going to tell you that right now. Luckily, I do have a charity that I am working with the hospital, and hopefully they're going to cover all of it. But I will tell you, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, it is not a good idea to ride an electric scooter or any type of equipment that you can go fast on without a helmet. I mean, I was going 25 miles an hour down the street, no brakes on the thing. It's all gas, no brakes type of thing. That's the mentality that I have in my life. You know, run it as fast as you can. And I made a mistake just trying to stand up on it, and I fell to the ground, and pretty much on my face right here is where I had a gash in my forehead. Then down below, I have another gash that's here, mostly road rash. And then I broke one tooth. One came completely out, and then 3 other ones are pretty much moved all over the place. So I did have to have a lot of dental surgery. That's why I have been out for quite a bit of time. But, man, I'm glad to be back with Sean. That's the biggest thing. It's right before draft coverage, so I missed all of draft season. That's what sucks. But, hey, you know what? It is what it is.
That's all right. Jake and Mike basically took the whole draft off anyway, pre-draft off anyway. So you didn't miss much. You only missed like 3 groups. So it is what it is. Jake and Mike just like to chill and relax. So, but we're about to show how a real show is going to take over tonight.
No, I agree, man. Let me say this right before we do get into everything. I do want to say I am very appreciative of everybody that has been sending me messages throughout the whole entire process. I've had Jake, Sean, Mike all check in on me, text me, call me, send me all the messages that I have. My Instagram personally has been flooded with messages as well. I really appreciate everybody reaching out to me, from not only you guys, but my coworkers, as well as my family. I mean, every single one of them checking in on me, being in the hospital, my mother-in-law being there, driving me home from the hospital at 1:00 in the morning. It was a hell of a time, but I busted butt on the ground, just doing kid stuff like you normally would. You wouldn't expect this to happen, and God really looked out for me. So But let's get into this draft talk. I do want to pull up this comment real quick because I want to read it from Trey Williams. He said, Brett, remember my guy, you can negotiate with the hospital if you tell them you can't afford payment. Also, medical bills don't impact your credit score, just FYI. I do appreciate that, and I do know that actually I've been in touch with a few people as well, and I do appreciate that, Trey, for letting me know. But let's get into draft coverage. Let's not talk about me.
Hold on a minute, Brett. Before we get into the draft coverage, we're gonna play a little game now that you're back, and you may not have been involved in any draft coverage with us, but all across the Bills Mafia world, everyone seems to. Not everyone, and it might be a select group of people, but it seems the general consensus is if we just get a wide receiver, this team is Super Bowl bound. We got Josh Allen. That's all that matters. That's all we really need to have. But then when you really look at this team, and I'm a fan just as much as anyone else, so I love every single one of these players. I want to see the good in them. I want to have that Jake Podger feel where I can see the greatness in every single player we got. But when we're going to look at every position we got, look at the depth chart. We're going to give it a letter grade, both me and you separately, to have our own grades. And then the whole purpose of this exercise is to show this roster is actually like Swiss cheese, and we need a lot more holes filled than just a wide receiver. So I don't know if you got it on you right now, but if you could pull up like a positional depth chart just so we can have the visual. And then, we'll go and give them letter grades. This is all pre-draft, so obviously it's going to change. But this might put a little perspective into the thought of, all we need is a couple wide receivers and we're good. It could be a lot of positions we need to focus on. And then we'll get the draft stuff and mock draft maybe. Get Brett a mock draft in. You're on mute, Brett. You're on mute, buddy. Look at Brett. It's been too long. Been too long on the bench.
It's been too long, but bear with me 1 second, guys. I will pull this up. Just got to save it real quick to my screen, and I will have it up here for everybody. So just bear with me. Technical difficulties as I'm going through it. But let me.
Sorry, you got the excuses built in already.
Yeah, I got the excuses built in, but hey, listen, I've been out for a month. It's been a while, so
Guess we'll let it slide.
Oh,
I've already accepted being public enemy number one, and that Bills fan that thinks everything is bad. I'm not saying everything's going to be bad, but we got to look at it from a non-fan perspective.
Yeah, no worries.
As far as the roster goes, and there's a lot of question marks with this team. Is Bobby Babich actually going to call plays and create schemes of defense, or is this going to be McDermott? If Bobby Babich changes stuff around, how is that going to work with a guy like Teron Johnson? What if he wants to run a 3-4 or things like that, where it takes Teron Johnson out of the game? Maybe it won't. Maybe you have to put Teron Johnson in different, as a boundary corner. But we ran the same defensive scheme since McDermott's been here. So you got that. Then you got new offensive linemen switching. You got new safeties coach, a new DBs coach, who, McDermott gets a lot of credit for all the DB success we've had here, but everyone forgets John Roberts was here from the beginning. And as much as McDermott was a D-back himself, this guy was directly coaching them. So, there's a lot of question marks here. So whenever Brett gets that up, we'll get into offense and defense, run through that, and get some drafts going.
That is true. So I'm trying to pull it up real quick, and it's being a little difficult. So bear with me just a second as I go through the process. We do have something that came in from Jake Podger. It is $4.99 that came in. He's dropping a nickel on that button right there and sending us a little message saying, "Big day, boys. Outside wide receiver solely. If we were to stay at 28, I'm running to the podium to grab guys like Byron Murphy, JPJ, or Chop Robinson, maybe." And I understand completely where he's coming from. Also, John Robert coming in and saying shovel. So bear with me a second as I do try to pull this up, guys. I'm just trying to pull up a file, and it's not letting me pull up a file for some reason. So,
well,
I'm not sure if it just doesn't like the file that I'm trying to use.
Let's see.
That could very well be what it is. So bear with me 1 second as I do that.
I got something, it'll have to do, but let's see.
So I can pull it up as well. Let me see if I can pull that up as the Bills roster.
I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you see it.
Yep, I see it there. Sorry, guys. I do apologize.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so obviously we're going to start with quarterback. And I think, not even considering backup and, third string, it's an A because of Josh Allen. I don't think there's any objection to that. What do you think, Brett?
So for me, as far as all the quarterbacks go, I do think that Buffalo could have gone in another direction this offseason with a backup quarterback. Mitch Trubisky, like him a lot, but as far as if I'm Buffalo and something does happen to Josh Allen, he's being utilized in so many different ways lately. Towards the beginning of the season, when it was without Joe Brady and it was Ken Dorsey that was out there calling the plays, the Bills were kind of limiting the amount of times that Josh Allen was allowed to run. And when it comes to the season coming up, it's going to be Joe Brady, and he's going to be allowing Josh to run a lot. And that scares me so much because Josh is just one hit away from being out for the season. And as much as I don't want that to happen, you have to think ahead as to who's going to come in and take over the plays and who's going to come in and take over the team to go to the playoffs. And for me, I don't feel comfortable right now with Mitch Trubisky as a backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. If he had to go in for, let's say, 5-6 games, I believe that he's a good bridge quarterback for a couple of games. But as far as the season goes, if Josh were to miss a significant amount of time, I'm worried. I mean, I'm thinking about calling for a trade or something like that if I'm Brandon Beane. I don't feel comfortable with him, and I don't feel comfortable with Shane Buechele coming in. Even though he did amazing things at Southern Methodist University, he's a really good quarterback there. But coming into the NFL, he hasn't done anything. So if I'm Buffalo, I'm going after somebody late in the draft, maybe a quarterback like Joe Milton or somebody like that could come in and be a bridge quarterback behind Josh Allen for a little bit of time. Maybe he'll sit for a year on the practice squad and he can learn the system and come in and be the backup quarterback in his second year.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with everything you say there. And I guess let's just look at it like nobody's going to get injured. This is just how the roster is right now. So just looking at Josh Allen, the quarterback room's an A because these two are irrelevant. But to what to your point, in reality, I'm with you 100% because if Mr. Trubisky plays, then we're kind of screwed. So just for the sake of the argument, we'll just say like nobody's going to get injured. But definitely QB2 could definitely be upgraded. So definitely. So you still giving them an A, or are you gonna give them a B just because you don't think QB2 is too great?
I'm gonna give him a B+. And this is no disrespect to Josh Allen. It's more of the guys behind him that I believe that we aren't done adding to the room. I really believe that. I think that Mitch Trubisky is an excellent quarterback as far as a backup quarterback goes for a limited number of games. But I believe that Brandon Beane knows deep down that Josh Allen's, yes, he's getting older. He's wise. He's smart. But I do believe that it's time for Buffalo to look into another guy like Joe Milton, who he had an excellent combine. He had an excellent pro day. He can sling the rock around. I'm going to tell you that right now. He can sling the rock anywhere on the field. He reminds me so much of Josh Allen, and I feel like he would be a really good fit behind him as well.
No, completely agree. And again, this is all regardless of draft because, we can add receivers, tackles, whatever. So this is just looking at the roster when nothing's going to change. This is the roster right now going into the season without drafting. So, pending, obviously we might get a better QB2. We might get better wide receivers. That's all just going to be not thought about in this exercise. But again, everything you're saying is 100% accurate, and I'm 100% with you. So now we're going to move down to running back. James Cook, Ty Johnson. It looks like we got Darrington Evans back, which I thought he played for either Tennessee or Chicago last year. But, looking at this room, for me, I'm going to give it a B-. I think James Cook should keep ascending. He had a couple dropped touchdowns last year. He got better running the football. Only fumbled the ball twice. Made some good. He got about 40 or 50 catches. Pretty solid. And then, of course, weak in pass blocking. Ty Johnson, he's not quite a bruiser back. But solid running back too. Again, just judging it off of not drafting another running back because I think we could. Just going to say B- because I think the room is ascending with James Cook. How about you, Brett?
Yeah, I think the room is ascending with James Cook, and I believe that this is the year that you will see that he's going to become that featured back like Shady McCoy or even other running backs that were ahead of him as well. But he doesn't have a big room behind him because the Bills have let go of guys like Damian Harris, and they don't have a backup running back. This is the draft where I do believe that Buffalo is going to add to this running back room. Guy to keep an eye on, Braylon Allen, who came from Wisconsin, very fast running back that could be a speedster. The Bills did bring in Trey Benson as well from Florida State University for his 30 visit. And that could be another area that Buffalo goes in. But don't be surprised if Buffalo goes for a running back early on in this draft. It's a need on the roster, and I believe that a good 1-2 punch in the running back room would be good for the Bills this offseason to find. And let me tell you this. James Cook is going to make a big move, and I do believe he's going to make over 1,200 yards. But I'm going to give you a C grade on this one.
Okay, not bad. It's pretty fair. And then now going into the receiver, this is where I'm going to be pretty damn harsh with him. I'm going to give him a D+ for wide receiver. You got Khalil Shakir, Justin Shorter, Tyrell Shavers, Curtis Samuel, Andy Isabella, Brian Thompson, Matt Collins, and KJ Hamler. If you're going into the season with this lineup here, this is probably like one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the NFL overall. Not obviously Khalil Shakir is great and should be ascending more. Curtis Samuel, good, but Brad, I'm not like I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, he never had a good quarterback." If you're a good wide receiver, you're a good wide receiver. There's 32 positions of quarterback in the entire world in the NFL. This is there's 32 jobs of it. So the worst quarterback in the league can throw the ball to a good wide receiver. You see it with the Jets every year with Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that Curtis Samuel all of a sudden with Josh Allen is going to turn into a 1,500-yard receiver and get 12 touchdowns. So he's gotten 70, 60 receptions in a couple of years. So, he's not going to magically get 90 to 100. So solid guy, not the greatest. He's not going to beat Sauce Gardners and Jalen Ramseys and guys like Trent McDuffie one-on-one constantly like we need. So, again, decent players like Shakir and Samuel, but overall, not the best room. So I'm going to give him a D+. Obviously, we all know that, but what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to give him a C grade, C minus, actually. I think that this room has a lot of potential, and we talked about it when I was out of commission. I believe that Curtis Samuel is going to be an excellent asset for this team. We have guys on the roster right now after trading Stephon Diggs. These are guys that they don't need the rock, 15 times a game. These are guys that can come in and they can do their job. And this offense with Joe Brady, they need players that don't need all the receptions. They don't need the glory. They don't need the attention. This is the perfect wide receiver room that I like, but I'm telling you right now, we are going to add to this room come the draft. Brandon Beane is not done, and it's going to raise this grade on this wide receiver room significantly because I do believe that Buffalo is going to trade into the top 15 picks.
Yeah, they definitely can. Another thing I hear before we move into the tight ends, a lot of people think because Josh Allen's so great, having decent talent or okay talent around him is okay because he can get by and make them better. But why wouldn't you want to surround him with good talent and great talent to make them even greater because he's so good? It's like just because you can do something doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to have a better opportunities. Like, yeah, I can what is that? I'm trying to think of a good example. I can bench press 315 pounds without a spotter, but I can do 335 with a spotter. So why wouldn't I just go get a spotter and be comfortable lifting the extra 20 pounds? Just because I can do something doesn't mean I shouldn't do a better option. So I think surround Josh with great talent. So I didn't like when Beane said, "Oh yeah, we don't necessarily need a wide receiver one," but it could just be coy speak, but still surround Josh with great talent and watch what he does. This is a good room here. Tight end, this is an A+ for me. You got Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and even Quentin Morris has produced for this team. Obviously not as much as the other two, but I mean, this is one of the positions where you absolutely don't need anything done to it. If one of them goes down, all three of them can play. I'm not even going to count Trey McKitty. He'll be on the practice squad. But these three tight ends here, they've all played games. They've all played meaningful snaps. They've all made great plays and touchdowns. So obviously this is a pretty quick and easy A+ for me.
Very easy A+ for me. I think that both of them are great tight end ones on any roster, to be honest with you, besides, a couple of rosters like with Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, a couple of other players as well. But I do think that Dalton Kincaid's only going to get better in this offense. This is his second year. He's going to make a big upside. And don't be surprised if Dawson Knox takes a big step forward as well. He was injured throughout the year, and I think that he's going to only get better as the year goes on.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then obviously like Reggie Gilliam in his own category. So, I mean, it's hard to give him even a letter grade because it's like he's not bad, but he's pretty good, but we don't really use him that much. So, I mean, I guess we'll just give him a B by default just because he does some great things out there. And when he's out there, if you ask Jake, if he's out there, good things happen. So we'll just give him I'm going to give him a quick B.
I'm going to say this real quick because he is Jake Podger's neighbor. I'm going to give him an A+ because he is a pretty damn cool neighbor. And that's the only reason I'm giving him that grade. It's because he's a cool neighbor. Hopefully we can get him on the show sometime. That's all I care about. So, Jake, you needed to give a little shout out to Reggie Gilliam. You plowed his driveway, and, man, he owes you a favor. So let's get him on the show.
Yeah, love that. And for O-line, I'm just going to go as a whole entire unit. So, obviously, you guys remember I was basically the only one in the community advocating for how great they've been the entire season from week one. They finished 6th overall, with Dawkins, McGovern, Morris, Torrance, and Brown. And now this year, their great scheme plan was get rid of Morris, get rid of Bates, and then move McGovern, who was exceptional at left guard last year, to center, and put David Edwards, who nobody wanted him, and we picked him up and then used him as a 6-man for heavy package. And he was good in a limited role, but there was a reason why no other team wanted him as a starting left guard. And how many teams last year complained, Brett, that they don't have linemen, they don't have guards? And Miami Dolphins are one of them. Why didn't they sign him in the beginning of the year to be a starting left guard? They didn't. So that should be enough to tell you, I don't like this situation. Deion Dawkins is now going to play with his 4th left guard in 4 years. Where's the continuity there? Dawkins had his best season last year with McGovern. McGovern had his best season as a pro last year at left guard. So if you just got a new center, you're only fixing one position instead of 2. Now you got to hope that Edwards and Dawkins can work well together. You got to hope that McGovern and Torrance can work well together. You got to hope that Torrance has a good sophomore year. And you got to hope that Spencer Brown can replicate a good 3rd year when he had 2 horrible years to start his career. So
this is actually Spencer Brown's 4th year. This will be Spencer Brown's 4th year.
No, I know that's what I'm saying, but his 3rd year was good, and he had 2 bad first years. So this is his next year. He's got to replicate to be good. So, and then if he is good, you got to pay him, or if he's bad, then you got to let him go, and then your replacement is, a 1-year deal, Lyle Collins, or Ryan Vandermark if he can learn how to play right tackle. So there's a lot of question marks here. I don't like the direction it's going. Just because you saw Dawkins again with Saffold, how bad Dawkins was with Saffold next to him, how good he was with McGovern next to him. And sure, can McGovern play center? Probably. Do I trust Aaron Cromer? Sure. It doesn't mean that just because Aaron Cromer thinks McGovern can play center that David Edwards is going to be a great left guard and that it's going to work. It might not work. We finally had it right with this O-line, Brett. We talked about it all year. They finally got it together. The most important part of the game. And then all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, let's just forget everything else, move McGovern, and I'll put David Edwards there. So I'm just gonna give it a B- just because of how good they were last year. And I'm trusting that hopefully we get a center and move McGovern back to guard. But their play last year was A+. It's just right now there's definitely question marks. You know what? I'm just gonna give it, just to be fair, because they're my unit, I'm gonna give them a C+, because if you break it down, depth isn't that great. I don't like David Edwards at left guard. I don't want McGovern at center because I want him at left guard. And Torrance and Brown got to prove it again. As good as they both were last year, they got to prove it. So sorry I took a long time on that one. Brett, you go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, I do want to bring up a comment from Bills fan 7883 real quick. He's saying it's the same as every year. It's all about the depth. How confident are you that our starting 22 stays healthy? Are you willing to mortgage depth for Julio Jones' potential? What if you do and there's an injury bug? That's very important what he's saying there.
Great point.
Very good point. Also, Trey Williams coming in saying, I really believe McGovern is going to be a mediocre center. He is good at pass pro, but he's also not a natural center with height and a big negative in the run game.
And real quick before you go, but just because I got it in my mind, I don't think McGovern's going to be a better center than he was at left guard. And again, I'm not a coach. I'm not Aaron Cromer. I'm not Brandon Beane. I'm not Sean McDermott. But even if I was a casual fan, and I'm not obviously, but if I was a casual fan who didn't pay attention to anything, I just watched the games on Sunday, didn't care. To me, what would make most sense is if you're great at something, stay there, and then fix that one position that you need to replace. And again, it's all on Brandon Beane because 2 years ago he didn't stop and think, well, I don't think Morse is going to be here in 2 years. Let's get his replacement in. They thought they had Bates, but turned out Bates wasn't good, and they got rid of both of them at the same time, just like he got rid of wide receiver 1 and 2 in the same year. So sure, McGovern could play center. He could be good at it, but I don't think he's going to be a better center than he was left guard. And it's just, I just don't understand when they finally got it right, man. They're trying to do all this switching.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a certain degree. I mean, listen, having McGovern there at left guard, it solidified the the role for a couple of years. I do think that one of the biggest things that I'm going to add to this is having a first-year player more than likely come in and become the center and have to not only be the center, but also make the calls as far as the protection goes for Josh Allen. I don't love that. Mitch Morse was such a good center for the Buffalo Bills because not only did he snap the ball to Josh Allen, but he also called the protection out for every single play for Josh Allen. Having a first-year player is not going to see the same things. It's not going to be good. I do think with the addition of McGovern moving over to the center position is a good idea. But the Bills also added in Will Clapp, who we're not even talking about here.
For good reason.
Well, you could say for good reason, but he did come over from the New Orleans Saints. He has experience at the center position. He's an above-average run blocker. He's also an above-average pass blocker. So I do think that it's going to be okay. The Bills have so many different directions that they could go in at the center position. Alec Anderson as well, who we didn't even talk about, could be moved there as well. So I'm not opposed to not only keeping McGovern there, but they could move him back to left guard if they do find somebody in the draft as well that they might want to add.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And, and we did the first show when you were recovering, when we talked about center. Since 2006, there's been 11 centers drafted within the top 40, and 10 of them out of the 11 have been either both All-Pro and Pro Bowl or one or the other. So I wouldn't have been worried if we drafted a rookie and it was in the top 40 and he turned into a great center because I think it would be possible. And then to Bills fans 78-83's point, if Edwards was such a good starter, how come he was a backup on our team and no one else wanted him? Because there was a ton of teams, the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Jets. That's just to name a few. The Patriots. A lot of these teams needed offensive linemen, and nobody wanted them. And then for Clapp, as Time for UFL says, avoid the Clapp. He hasn't even played one full season in his entire career. So, and when he has played, it's in. So, again, there's a reason we get these guys. And to John's point, need to mention that we had a cap problem. There's a reason we get guys like Will Clapp and Lyle Collins, who haven't played in 2 years, and put them on incentive-based deals, is because that was the position that Brandon Beane put us in. But I could talk about this offensive line for a million years, and I know we got to get through the defense and definitely have to do some mocks for Brett because he hasn't done any with us yet on live. McGovern played center for 1 year in college. His final year, he played 77 snaps at center. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying it's impossible for him to be good at it. It's just remember how good he was at left guard last year, how great he was. He had his best season as a pro, and he played in Dallas where their offensive line is always good. And this was his best year as a pro. So why would you not want him and McGovern, him and Dawkins next to each other again? 2 years in a row. They played every snap together. When we were blowing teams out, they swapped them both out. So they always played next to each other. So that's just my thing. And I think we're going to feel it. We're going to feel that, absolutely for sure. What was your letter grade for them, Brett?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to give him a B grade. I think that there's room for improvement, but don't get me wrong. I do think that David Edwards, I agree with what the chat is saying. I do think that David Edwards is a player that when he's healthy, he can make a big difference in the offensive line. I do think that this team has gotten better as far as their depth overall on the offensive line, and they're going to get better overall too as well.
Definitely going to need to. Man, it would just be great to get a guy like freaking JPJ. But now we can't because we have so many other needs, so I doubt they're going to go that route. But speaking of a place where we need needs, edge. So we'll go edge and then D tackle separately instead of just doing D line. So let's just read through our edges real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Cameron Klein, Von Miller, Epinesa, Casey Toohill, and Kingsley Jonathan. So right off the bat, this is just bad. Like this is to me this is C minus room right here. Von Miller, coming off, and me and Mike talked about it. There's no way in hell he can have a worse year than last year. So there's that positive about it, but he's going to be 35 years old. He came off his worst year as a pro. How's he going to look? Not too sure. Love AJ Epinesa. Think he can do more with more opportunity, even though we're on a rotation basis. Give him a little bit more, maybe make him the starter. See how that goes. I like AJ Epinesa a lot. Casey Tuhill, Kingsley Jonathan, Cameron Klein, and Greg Rousseau hasn't produced as a first-round pick yet. And, people say, oh, but he's great in the run. He's your starting defensive end, but you drafted in the first round. And the only thing you can say about him is he's good at stopping the run. Guess who else was good at stopping the run? Shaq Lawson.
I got to take 1 second real quick. I got to fix something real quick. I got a big
issue. Go ahead.
I got a leak in my ceiling real quick. I got to fix it, okay?
No, go ahead. I'll talk for a little bit.
Okay, hold on.
So as much as I love Greg Rousseau, I think he's got phenomenal athletic ability and he could be really great at the position. He hasn't been that yet. He hasn't been a game changer. So with this room, they definitely need to improve. And, it's definitely something I'm concerned about. I can't pull up comments, but I can read them. Bills fan 7883 says Edwards wasn't skill, it was health. Lyle Collins was also said by being to be competition at guard. Both are really good players who have injury concerns. Can they get you through the season? But he didn't have injury concerns last year. Edwards he was completely healthy the entire year, and nobody wanted him. So that's why we picked him up. Lyle Collins, he hasn't played in over a year. Obviously, yeah, he's got injury concerns, but he hasn't played guard since he was a rookie, since he was a rookie in Dallas. He was a tackle. They moved him. He stayed at tackle for a reason. I doubt he's going to be any competition at guard. And competition with David Edwards isn't really a competition. They're both not good. We saw Edwards the last time he started was against us after they won the Super Bowl, and our defensive line ate his lunch, and then he went downhill ever since. So he's not a guy I want starting on my team. I love David Edwards as a 6-man in a heavy package, but as a starter, I don't like it. But then you mentioned the defensive end position is ugly. If Rousseau or Epinesa get hurt, yikes! Absolutely, my friend. That's 100% true. And again, I like Greg Rousseau. I love him. He'd be a perfect guy to re-sign, but just hasn't been there. To me, I played defensive end. I played linebacker. So, it's a position where, yeah, it's nice to stop the run, but your main goal is to be a pass rusher, especially if you're drafted in the first round and you have all this size and talent. Because Shaq Lawson was also drafted in the first round, but now in his career, he's good at stopping the run. That's not something you want to say your only good quality about your starting defensive end. So, yeah, defensive end room is really, really, really shaky for me. And like I said, what did I give him a C- or a D+? I'm just gonna give him a D+ because going back to look at it again while we're waiting for Brett, because I don't want to move on without him. Von Miller's gone next year. Tuhill's on a 1-year deal. Kingsley Jonathan's got to be coming near the end of his deal, and Cameron Klein's probably just on a 1-year deal, and then Rousseau's going to be on his 5th-year option. So, yeah, it's really, really, really rough at the edge position. And then Trey mentioned edge room has more questions than wide receiver room. Hope it's addressed by round 2 at latest. Yeah, we'll see when we get into mocks. But Brett, how do you feel about the defensive ends or the edge room?
Well, let me say this: adding Epinesa back for another year, I'm excited for that. I disagree with what you're saying that we have one elite pass rusher. I do think that Epinesa is only getting better, and his play overall has been incredible. He's going to take another step forward. Greg Rousseau starts off the year a little bit strong, but he can't finish towards the end of the year. That's kind of the mentality that it is. He starts off hot, finishes slow. If he can get it going again and get back to 10 sacks, I'm going to be excited for that. Just need to get a little bit more rotation. And I do think the addition of Casey Tuhill is a bigger addition than most people think. He had 5 sacks last year in Washington. I think he's going to come over and he's going to be a nice piece to the puzzle that the Bills have. He's going to fit in very well, becoming a not only a run stuffer, but also getting involved in the pass rush. But adding in not only to that position, but also the entire defensive line that Brandon Beane did this offseason is only going to make it better. If they can sprinkle in, this is where I get into the draft coverage, they can sprinkle in another defensive end, I would like to see that. I don't think it's necessarily a need right now that they need to address right away. But I do think in the third, fourth round, somewhere in there, if we can sprinkle in another guy to the group, I'd be excited for that as well.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not counting Vaughn as going to be great. Like, obviously he's not going to be any worse than last year. I think Epinesa is our best, in my opinion. And again, he's got to stay healthy because he was on fire last year, missed a couple games with injuries, kind of derails it. Von Miller came back off an injury. He's old. Is he going to be that guy anymore that we had in year one with him? I don't know. Rousseau, So there's a lot of question marks for me. Again, I like Tuchel. He's not going to be a starting edge. Like, he's a great depth piece, but he's not going to win us a game against Kansas City if Epinesa's hurt and Rousseau's struggling or Von's struggling. So, good to have on the back end, but I mean, these guys, like you said, Brad, we really gotta, we probably should consider that in the draft. But yeah, did you give their letter grade? I didn't hear you.
No, I didn't give a letter grade. I do think that this group is an A-, though. I really do. I think that Von Miller is going to
defensive ends are A-.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that Von Miller is going to take a big step forward this year. He wasn't healthy completely. He needed a year off. It's going to take him a year to get back to normal. You saw what was happening with Tre'Davious White when he was healthy again after a year. He was making strides towards becoming that elite player again. And while he did get injured, he tore his Achilles, he was making the strides. You saw it happening each and every week. He was making big steps forward. I think that Von Miller is going to take a big jump forward. He's not going to have 3 tackles this year. He's going to make a big step forward. I promise you this right now. He's going to have multiple sacks in games. He's going to be that elite closer that Buffalo brought him in to be. Trust me on this. I think he's going to make a big step towards the right way, and this is why Buffalo and Brandon Beane are believing in him. He came back to Buffalo for another year after he was probably going to get cut. Took a pay cut, bet on himself, and he's going to make an impact. This is the type of player that Buffalo needs. This is the type of player that I want on my team as well. And I'm telling you right now, he's going to have those incentives in the back of his mind. He's going to play his tail off. Trust me on that.
Well, I love the hope of that. But the only thing I can agree with right now until I see it is he's going to have more than 3 tackles. So it'll wait to be seen. But again, nothing you're saying is wrong. It could definitely happen. But just looking at it based off of what we've seen what we know up to this point makes me nervous. So it was still, even if Von Miller is good next year, he's gone next year after next year. So I still would like a new replacement in the building ready to go. But again, you could be absolutely right. And hopefully you are. And then now we're going to go to D tackle. And this might be unpopular, but I see one really good guy in this D tackle room. And obviously it's Ed Oliver. And I'm not saying Daquan Jones is not a good player. And Brett and I and, Mike and I and Jake and I think all talked about this. Well, I talked to you all separately about it. He's hurt every year we had him so far. So we can't rely on him to be a guy that's going to be there for the whole season. Maybe for him at his old age and getting hurt the last 2 years, maybe he's better off in a backup role. And maybe if we drafted a young defensive tackle, maybe in the first round or in the second round, because we just re-signed Ed Oliver. He's got 4 more years left with us. If we get a D tackle in the second round, they're both going to be on the same, 4 years left until they're done. Or if you get in the first round, you got the 5th year option. But then you're young in the middle. Ed Oliver really exceeded everyone else's. I always said Ed Oliver as an elite player, but he exceeded everyone else's expectations who thought he wasn't good in years past. And then Deshaun Williams is a bum. Austin Johnson, I know Jake loves him, but he's a bum. And Eli Anku, great effort, but there's a reason why he's on the practice squad for multiple teams every single season. And this room makes me nervous as well, because let's just look at it like this. We'll say Daquan Jones is good, but he's old, right? And injury prone. Say Ed Oliver, gets hurt for the season. We're absolutely screwed at defensive tackle.
I agree.
Obviously, this is without drafting, but that's how we're grading it. So personally, I wouldn't be mad if you get a guy like, say we stay at 28 and you get a guy like Byron Murphy. I wouldn't even be mad because it is an absolute need, because as much as offense is important and to win games, you got to get guys like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson uncomfortable. And if you got Deshaun Williams and Austin Johnson and Cameron Klein rushing the passer, ain't going to do nothing for you. So this is another D+ for me. I know it seems kind of disrespectful because that Oliver is an A+ player, but with the depth and injury concern with Daquan Jones, it's just, for me, it's a big concern. So I don't know. I think you're going to go opposite way than I did, but tell me what you think.
Well, let me tell you this right now. This defensive tackle room right now is way better than last year. I'm going to tell you this for a reason. Tim Settle did not do anything last year. He, signing him, may have been the right decision for Buffalo to do. He was coming off of a team where he just needed the opportunity to become a bigger player. Now, that role did not fit in Buffalo. It just wasn't where it was meant to be. He didn't fit the expectations, and that's where it came from. Jordan Phillips had a good game, and he got injured. Just didn't work out there as well. But he's been injured throughout his career, and that's where it stands. He's going to be going elsewhere as well. Actually, I do believe he retired from the NFL. So
I think the Giants signed him just recently.
Oh, that's right. The Giants.
He was gonna retire, but Dable probably reached out to him and was like, "Hey."
You're right there. And
but he did say, Brett, he's like, until next time, Buffalo. So he'll probably re-sign with us next year when we draft another. Well, not draft, but when we go to sign another three more 1-year deals for D tackle.
Yeah, you might be right. But adding into Deshaun Williams, I do think that that's a great move. He is coming off of a season where he had 33 combined tackles last season, 1 sack. But the year before, 4.5 sacks in the season where his last season with the Broncos. Adding him into the mix, I think, is a good position. He does have a lot of run stuffing ability, which I think is an area that Buffalo is targeting. He is an older defensive tackle, though, 31 years old, which does concern me a little bit. Now, Austin Johnson is the one that I really like in this scenario. I think the Buffalo got him for pretty much a steal. He's 29 years old, 313 pounds. Last season, he did have 46 combined tackles, 0 sacks, though. But I do like the potential for the tackles. And I do think that Buffalo is targeting guys that can be run-stuffing players, and I think that's why they're going after these guys, because the run game was so abysmal last season. You saw what happened. You took out Daquan Jones. You took out Ed Oliver. We had to have Linval Joseph, a 35-year-old defensive tackle, who his best season was probably, before the Stone Ages, pretty much. Yeah. It's just, it hasn't worked out. We needed guys that can contribute in the run stuffing role. I'm okay with this move. Let's just get pressure on quarterbacks, plug up the middle, and put some pressure on guys like Patrick Mahomes and the elite pass rushers or the elite quarterbacks out there. Just make it hard for them to escape and run up the middle. Make them go out wide where you got guys like Von Miller, you got Greg Rousseau, you got AJ Epinesa out there, maybe even a guy like Chopper Robinson or somebody like that we could go after. There's so many other options that we could talk about in the draft as well, but those guys are going to go after him. So let them be free. And you add in Matt Milano as well. I mean, Matt Milano's coming back as well. Let's just put it that way.
Not as of right now, he's not. According to Brandon Beane, he said he's not even close to ramping up. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully he's good, but I'm assuming he'll be good by training camp. But yeah, it's alarming that hurt in week 4, and he's a guy like him is still, trying to get on the mend for his leg injury. So that makes me a little bit nervous. But can you pull up a couple of I gotta scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, I do want to go with some of the comments.
Bill fan, not Mike's comment, because we're talking about that as we go. But talking about what we need to draft to be better. Basically, anything that's below a B, could be upgraded. So just to be simple with that, I'm taking the easy way out. But bring up Bills fan 7883's comment about Austin Johnson. And I'm not saying he's the worst player in the world, but we all thought the same thing about guys like Tim Settle, who were good in Washington and then were trash with us. That one guy, Vernon Butler, good everywhere else, trash with us. The guy in the Jets last year who played with us, what was his name, Brett? Jefferson, horrible with us, great with the Jets. So just because he was decent other places does not translate to becoming great with Buffalo. Yeah, he's got a role. But I'm drafting a good D tackle and cutting that guy. Like I'm not drafting a D tackle because we got 5 on the roster already. I'm getting rid of someone to bring in one of these D tackles from college. But maybe he'll surprise us, Brett, and he'll be one of those ones that finally produces well with the Bills when we assume that these guys are going to be good, and that'd be nice.
Let me tell you this though, Sean. Austin Johnson had multiple other offers on the table from other teams. He could have gone elsewhere, and he decided to go to Buffalo. I respect him for it. He got a big deal in Buffalo, pretty good size chunk of change that we did sign him for. I do want to go with a couple of comments here. Say hello to Sword Brother Joseph on here as well, saying, I don't want us to sell the farm to move up, either trade back or take a stud defensive tackle, edge, or safety in the first round. Then trade up in the second round for Xavier Legette. Legette, in my opinion, most slept on. Perfect scheme fit, ex wide receiver. Completely agree. He does have that Southern accent as well, which I think is something that would be important in Buffalo. This is the guy that our boy Jake Podger has been talking about all along. I've been talking about Brian Thomas Jr. He's been talking about Xavier Legette. Completely agree with that. If Jake was on the podcast, he would tell you he agrees. I think that Legette would be a great fit in the second round. In my mock draft scenario, I will show you what I do believe Buffalo is going to do, and it's going to be a little bit of a surprise. So I think we're going to make some trades as well. So if I'm GM, I'm going to make some trades. Let me go through the comments real quick again. Bills fan CA saying, I wouldn't mind that one bit. Sword Brother Joseph saying as well, offense has never been the issue. It's the defense that has not gotten us over the bump. Trey Williams saying, if the referees aren't calling holding in the playoffs, interior pressure becomes even more important.
Yep, 100%.
As well as Sword Brother Joseph saying, the draft has decent defensive tackle depth. Completely agree with that as well. Now, one guy that we have been talking about quite a bit throughout the draft coverage, Sweat, had a bad pro day, had a bad combine. His weight was a big issue. He has slipped down the boards quite a significant bit going into the third round now. He is behind Braden Fisk from Florida State now. So there could be an option for Buffalo to go with later in the draft as well. So keep your eyes out on that as well.
That'd be nice. And then we got linebackers left. Then we got corners and safeties, and special teams is it is what it is. We'll get through those quickly. But with linebacker as a unit, it's tough because Milano and Bernard are so excellent. But again, it worried me how it seemed like they're still tiptoeing around Matt Milano and how he's progressing. So it makes me nervous, so that's going to cost some points in the letter grade of, is he going to be 100% healthy? Is he going to be the same player after an injury like he sustained? But, let's just say that Milano is perfectly healthy. And no, we can't do that because, we're just going to say, the injury risk is there, to be fair, like everyone else. Bernard, excellent. Morrow's okay, but he's not going to be on the field because we run nickel, so we're not going to run 3 linebacker sets often. Dorian Williams is okay. Spector's okay. This is a decent unit. It could definitely be upgraded in the depth positions, but it's not. It's one of the least dire positions we need. I'm gonna give it a B+. just because Milano and Bernard, Bernard he had an all-pro season last year, but he didn't get recognized because he's on the Bills and his name is Terrell Bernard. But Terrell Bernard, he had better stats than basically every single linebacker but Roquan Smith in the NFL overall. So, and he might even have better stats than him, because I'm not remembering 100%. But with his interceptions, his fumble recoveries, his forced fumbles, his tackles for loss, all that stuff, he was an all-pro and didn't get recognized for it. Matt Milano already has been an all-pro. So solid unit, could be upgraded. Morrow's, decent. Williams, it could be good. Spector's okay, special teamer, but overall decent unit, B+.
Yeah, you look at the playoffs last year and having AJ Klein fill in after being pretty much, I call him in Cancun.
Poor guy.
He was on his way out. He was retiring. He was taking a trip to Key West with his family. Having him play in a playoff game, especially when Buffalo was down so many linebackers, is so important to get the depth right. And Buffalo didn't get that depth right. You had pretty much guys that were unproven players out there on the field, and that's what really concerned them in the playoffs, and that's what pretty much took them down and out of the playoffs. So yeah. I think that Buffalo adding in Nick Morrow, great fit from Buffalo. He was a little bit of an outcast in the Eagles defense, but I do think that he's going to make guys like Terrell Bernard, and even if it's going to be Matt Milano that comes out there week one, I don't think it will be, to be honest with you. I think he's going to end up on the PUP list, and he will miss a little bit of time. But whoever is next to Terrell Bernard out there on the field, whether it's Dorian Williams, whoever it is, he's going to make them better. He's going to be the type of player that's going to be a depth piece, solid depth player that's going to come in, make a difference out there as well. I'm going to give this unit a B grade as well. I think that there's still room for improvement, but I do like Baylon Spector. I like the depth that we have. It's just, a lot of unprovenness out there, and we just need somebody out there that can take the role, much like we saw with guys like Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano out there for such a long time.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And again, maybe Milano might play week one, but like you said, it's just as much possible he could be on the PUP list. So hopefully he's starting week one, because then, I want to see Milano of full strength and Bernard, play like he did last year next to each other, man. I think that'd be the best linebacker room, if they don't get injured at all in the NFL. I can promise you that. So that'd be really exciting. So we'll see. And then when you get to corner, obviously we run nickel, so it's not going to be left corner, right corner, or whatever. So we got Rasul Douglas starting, Teron Johnson guaranteed. Those two are guaranteed starters. And then probably Benford. I'm looking, it'd be nice to have Kaiir Elam show out and win the job. But this is another unit where it's pretty okay. Douglas is old, but he produced well last year. Johnson's, the best nickel corner in the league. And then Benford's decent, but he's always getting hurt too. So he's always getting hurt. And Douglas, old, but produced well. So it's a solid room. I think Kaiir Elam, if he doesn't make the starting job, that's a solid backup. Kyron Brown is who he is, and Jamarcus Ingram is So much kind of like linebacker, I think corner's okay. It's just once it gets past Kaiir Elam as a backup, you're kind of like, I hope they don't have to go in. But I'm gonna say B- for corner. Definitely could be upgraded. I know we extended Douglas, which is good, but again, he's on the older side. I'm not saying it's the be all end all just because he's 30-something years old, but that's something to keep in mind. And again, hopefully Kaiir Elam can because everyone else gave Spencer Brown all the time in the world to produce, and and even though he was horrible and got to play, Elam hasn't gotten all the opportunity that Spencer Brown did. And when Elam plays, he makes big plays. So hopefully he produces, but I'm gonna give him a B-.
Yeah. So we did not extend Rasul Douglas. I do want to correct you on that, Sean.
Sure.
We haven't extended him. We restructured his contract so that it frees up a little bit of money. We only restructured, not extended. John Robert coming in as well with that comment. Now his market is going to be about Yeah, it's going to be $14.5 million is his contract, according to Spot Track, that we're going to have to pay up if we do want to pay him. Or Buffalo could go after a cornerback early in the draft. I don't think that that's going to be an option right now, to be honest with you. We do have some good depth. We have Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford. You have Taron Johnson there, who did sign the extension. And maybe you got confused on the two players.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that was good. That was good that we did that.
But that was a good decision. It freed up a little bit of cap room. I think this position, needs some depth. Don't get me wrong. But I think that this is a solid group when healthy. Christian Benford was playing some excellent ball last year. Being a ball hawk, but he just needs to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. If they are healthy, I think this is a good three-headed combo, big three that we have. But other than that, there's some players that we really could go after and make a big impact out there. But I think that the biggest issue with the boundary cornerbacks was not the cornerbacks. I think it was the next position that we're going to talk about, actually.
Yeah, this is the safety position. This might be the worst. I think I'm going to give it the worst. I was going to give it an F, but I didn't. I just gave it a D. Obviously there's D minus, D, and D plus. I'm going to give him a D. Taylor Rapp and Mike Edwards are now our starting safeties when they were both role players last year. And I know, just like David Edwards, Taylor Rapp also started in the Super Bowl and got a Super Bowl ring. However, he was a role player last year and, had his ups, had his downs. Don't know how comfortable I am with both of these guys being the starters of our team. And then, of course, you got Cam Lewis. We all know Cam Lewis. Chuck Revere is probably saying this should be an F just because Cam Lewis is there. Kendall Williams, I don't even know who that dude is. And then DeMar Hamlin. I guess they're going to pull it up. I accidentally clicked on him. 6 foot, 203, solid. Born in 2000, went to Stanford. He was a 7th-round pick last year from Chicago. So I guess he was a guy we randomly picked up. I didn't notice. So yeah, there's that. So safety room definitely needs something. I'm not saying get him in the first round, but definitely need to upgrade. I might be wrong too, Brett. Might want to correct me if I'm wrong here. Edwards is a 1-year deal, right?
Edwards is a 1-year deal, yes.
Or is it 2? Okay, 1-year deal. So then, 1-year deal. DeMar Hamlin will be on his last year. Cam Lewis is, I have no idea what his contract is like. And I don't know Williamson's contract either. He might not even be on an extended contract. And then Taylor Rapp, he's extended, right, for 3 years?
Yes, that's correct.
So yeah, we got one safety basically locked up and question marks. So that might be unpopular for me to say that he's a question mark, but he was a role player last year, and now he's going to have to start. So definitely a question mark for me. So I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I want to go off this comment real quick because it kind of ties into what I'm thinking as well. Bills fan 7883 saying guys like Terrion Arnold or Cooper DeJean that they can play the safety position or corner could be amazing. That's my dream outside of one of the big three. I believe strongly that the Bills have so many positions that they're going to have to fill. John Robert does fill in that Cam Lewis signed a 2-year contract, so he's here for a couple of years, $4 million.
Right, that's right.
I do think this is a team that they need to get more depth. You got DeMar Hamlin, who is playing special teams mostly, but has come out a little bit and played some on defense. But I just think that the depth needs to get back there. Cameron Kinchins is a guy that I really like that could be a ball hawk in this defense. I think that we just need to find that one player that can be a ball hawk out there. Mike Edwards, towards the end of the season, was having some pretty good football in him. I do think that this position with Mike Edwards and Taylor Rapp, I think you're kind of going off on this position a little bit too much. And I think that they can get a lot better, but I think that this is more of a C+ position with the potential to go up even higher. I think that Brandon Beane made good decisions on these re-signing and signing these two players, but I also believe that Sean McDermott, who is a defensive back guru, I'm telling you, he really is. From what he's done with not only Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde and Tre'Davious White, But what he's done with guys like Christian Benford and Taron Johnson, who is a complete no-name I was shocked that we filled those positions. I believe that Sean McDermott's going to get these two players ready to go come the fall.
That'd be nice. Absolutely. And really it's not the concern about them, I guess, not being good. It's just they were role players. Now they're starting. So there's that concern there. Rapp had a couple games where he did a couple good things. Then he had a couple games where he's like, like I thought he'd be better than that. But again, you're right. Hopefully it works out. But the main purpose of this was just to see we actually have a lot of holes that we got to fill, and we're not just a wide receiver away from being a Super Bowl contender. We're quite a few positions, in my opinion. The chat might be different. Brett might obviously think different than me, and that's completely okay. That's just how it goes. So I think we got a lot to work on. If we don't get a solid defensive, if we don't get a great edge rusher, and Rousseau it continues to be what he is, and Vaughn is what he was last year to a point, these safeties and corners are going to get cooked the entire season, and we're going to be like, man, this defense is just absolutely horrible, and we're going to complain about the defense the entire year, and we're going to have to score 30-plus points a game to win, and it's going to be really rough. So hopefully, we're going to hit some mock drafts. Now we're going to skip special teams. Bass should be good. He had a bad year, but he's got it in him. Sam Martin, to me, wasn't as bad as most people were saying. His hang time was trash. His net yards were bad. We punted a lot from the 50. So if he punted from the 50 to the 25 or to the 20, it's only a 30 net average, so it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was that bad. And then, Reed is the best long snapper in the league. Kick return, Shakir's okay, but I'm sure that'll change, and that it is what it is. So I don't think I said it before. I gotta be honest. As of right now, I think we're the second best team in the division, just based off a roster. I obviously think Josh Allen's better than Tua. I obviously think we could beat the Dolphins, but as far as if you compare our rosters, the Dolphins are in a better position. So we got to hope that we hit this draft good. And speaking of draft, we're going to hope that Brett can pull up this draft thing here.
No worries.
The computer's not having issues with that. And then we can maybe do two, because I still got to do laundry for Airbnbs and eat dinner. But we'll definitely do one for Brett where he's doing what he wants to do, like trade up, do whatever. And then maybe we'll just try one where we stay put. And then do like 5 rounds and see how it goes.
Yeah, no worries. So let me pull it up real quick. I'm going to be using the main screen, so I will pick Buffalo. I'm going to do a 7-round mock draft. We'll go.
No, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. I'll just read the.
So we're going to go quickly through it. I do want to bring up some draft scenarios real quick for the group. I'm going to go with a couple of options that we could trade up for. I do think real quick. I think we're going to trade up. Get me wrong. Arizona at 4, I think it's going to be a little too early for us. I do think that the Giants at 6, that's going to be a little too early too. But if Buffalo wants to go after a player like Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Rome Odunze or a Malik Neighbors, that's going to be the area that they're going to have to target, is that 4 to 6 range. I strongly believe that that's where they will target. But for me, I'm going to go into the 18 position, somewhere in there, somewhere in the top 15. I'm going to trade ahead of the draft, actually, before it even starts.
Just please make it an NFC team, because
I'm actually going to trade with an AFC team, just so you know.
Of course. But hey, let me read these comments quick before you get started, because we're going to be rolling. Brandon may trade up to get a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, I think he'll trade some of the late ones to do that, John. And then Bills fan 7883 says it's an 11-13 win team that is going to rely heavily on staying healthy. Post-year and first signings will be key. Offset what we don't get in the draft. Yeah, it'll be tough, just because that $10 million we get from Trey, it's probably going to cover the draft picks. But I'm not going to say we're going to be 11-13 win team right now, but based on trajectory, we were 13-3, 11-6, 13-3, and 11-6. So this is our year to go 13-3 again. So that'd be really, if we do that again, Brett, I think that'd be insane because it's been like that for 4 years, offsetting 11-6 and 13-3. And then John also said a great point, maybe Hamler for kick return. Yeah, that will be definitely what he does if he makes a team. And then Trey says, can you do a predictive mock, one where you think is Bean style? Yeah, we'll do that too. Brett's is going to do his 7-round on his own, and then I'll do a quick 5-round one where we stay at 28, and then Brett can do one where we trade up to maybe like whatever. But
yes,
that'd be fine.
So I just did it based off of where I think that Brandon Bean is going to trade. I've got to 20, which is with the trading with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I did give up this year's pick for the first round, 28, pick 60 as well, which is probably going to be a big task to give up, as well as a second round pick, which is the Minnesota pick next year, to trade up that far. Unfortunately, it did not get me a wide receiver that I wanted, but it does allow me to get into the edge position as well as defensive tackle position as well. Now, this scenario was to try and get a wide receiver. I was trying to get Brian Thomas Jr. It didn't, unfortunately, work for me. The Bengals took him. Yeah, unfortunately, they did. They did lose Tyler Boyd, which is going to be a big fit for them as well. I do think that's a good move. For me, going after a guy like Latu here, I think that he has the explosiveness as well that we need. A good edge rusher from UCLA. Byron Murphy is on the board here as well. But for me, I do think that with the going best player available in this type of scenario is where I would go. I'd actually consider trading back a little bit in this scenario, but what the Bengals are offering is just ridiculous. I don't want that trade.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, in my mock draft, I would have went wide receiver here, but because I traded ahead, I already did it. I probably shouldn't have done that until I got to my pick. I will take Latu, but I was going to take a wide receiver there. So we are going to have to wait quite a bit of time. We're going to have to go down to pick 128, which sucks.
This is going to be an ass draft, Brett. Come on.
I already know it's going to be. I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize on this one. So we do have here Brendan Rice going a little early to Houston here. I am going to go in a different direction. I think this is the time right now where I could see Buffalo going after a center. Tanner Bertolini from Wisconsin has everything that Buffalo needs in a center. 6'4", 303 pounds here. I think he would be a great fit at the center position. So I'm going to go center in this spot just because this is an area that Buffalo really needs. And I think that this would be a really good fit. So we did fill the edge position and the center position as well. With the second 4th-round pick, this is an area where Buffalo could go after a safety. I don't see a safety that's on the board right now that I would go after. We do need a wide receiver as well, also needing defensive tackle, which is another area. This is probably going to be the spot where I would go with a guy like McKinley Jackson from Texas A&M. Fits exactly what Buffalo needs. 6'1", 326 pounds here. But you do see a lot of the strengths, just like they're saying, extremely dense, compact, and well leveraged frame. High IQ as a run defender with the awareness to maintain the angles as well, which is things that Buffalo needs. His weaknesses, just like they're saying here, at times too far upright in his attempt to compensate for lacking lower body mass. I think that these are areas that Buffalo can correct quite a bit. So this is where I would take a defensive tackle for Buffalo. We are at the 144th pick. This is the 5th-round pick, first of the 5th-round picks. This is an area where I am looking for a wide receiver here. We do have Luke McCaffrey on the board. I think this is a little early to take him, but this could be an area where a running back could be used. We do have 160th pick. I would wait on a running back rather than a wide receiver. So I am going to go early and take Luke McCaffrey. I do think that he has the skill sets that Buffalo needs. So I'm going to fill that position as well with a wide receiver here. We do have running back on the board, Isaiah Davis, who was a player that we were talking about as well. I do like Zach Zinter as well, but I do think that this is an area where Buffalo could go after. 6 foot, 218 pounds, fitting exactly what Buffalo needs in a running back. So I am going to go running back here. And Zach Zinter does stay on the board here as well. We do need a little bit.
He's a guy, Brett, where, remember we talked about Andrew Voorhees, and Baltimore took him in the 6th round because he got hurt and couldn't play last year. He's going to be their starting guard this year. Zach Zinter was a 2nd-round talent guaranteed at guard. So if we could get him and we don't get a center, that'd be pretty solid. Because then, he's a young rookie, but I think I'd prefer him over David Edwards. So we already picked a center for this one. So if you don't want him, it's fine. But I think if he's there later in the rounds and we don't get a center, I'm definitely fine with this.
Well, Zinter is listed as a guard as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we don't pick a center and we stick with McGovern, I'd be fine with getting Zinter and sticking him at left guard.
So I like going there, but I do think that there's a glaring need that Buffalo needs to go after, and that's going to be the safety position. 2 safeties that are on the board, Jalen Carleys, as well as Kenny Logan Jr. from Kansas. Of the 2, I do think that Kenny Logan Jr. is a better player. He's an incredibly productive safety and finishes tackles in space, which is an area Buffalo really needs to correct. So I am going to go Kenny Logan Jr. here in this scenario, even though I do like the Zinter pick as well.
Oh, yeah.
So here we do have a couple of options that we could go after. I'm looking for more of depth players for Buffalo. We did fill the running back position as well. But for me, that glaring need is in the safety room as well as the defensive tackle spot here. So I do think the depth overall, Jowon Briggs from Cincinnati, this is the player that fills exactly what Buffalo needs in the run game as far as a defensive tackle, but also has the ability to take on double teams and allow other players to get into the game as far as pass rushing. So I do think that Jowon Briggs would be a really good fit here for Buffalo, but I could see a guy like Joe Milton. I mean, I love this kid. I've said it all along. This is the type of backup that I want for Buffalo. I just think the glaring needs are what Buffalo is going after. So I'm going to take Jowon Briggs here in this scenario. 204, we do have a couple of options here. We haven't taken an offensive guard here in this scenario. Dylan McMahon from NC State. This is a player, 6'3", 299 pounds, that I believe would be a great fit for Buffalo. I'm going to go after him in this scenario as well. And then we do have our last pick at 248. This is probably going to be a player that doesn't make the roster, but we could see. So for me, I'm going after Damani Richardson just to fill out that safety depth. I have gone after, let me just see what my picks are real quick. I have gone after 1 safety, so this is going to be my 2nd safety that I am going to get. But there you go, guys. This is what I see here. After the trade, we do have Latu as an edge. We did get a couple of depth players at the defensive tackle position. I know you guys were upset. I didn't go after Byron Murphy in this scenario, but I did get some depth players. I probably would have gone with Byron Murphy, to be honest with you, in this scenario. But I do believe that an edge player gives you a little bit more in there. But Trey Taylor as well, that would have been a good option to grab as well. But I'm going to take this draft. I think that this is solid players you're going to see all the way along. And these are guys that fits exactly what Buffalo needs. But Trey Taylor is a good fit as well for Buffalo. But I'm going to turn it over to my partner here for his.
Tough trading up, man. That really messed you up in the beginning.
Oh, it really did. It just didn't work out in my favor.
But you got some good picks in there. So I just want to do a 5-round one.
5-round one. All right, let's do 5 rounds.
And I'm going to stay at 28.
Okay, staying at 28. Let's see how the board falls for you. So I will show you the trade offers that you do have as well. If you do want to trade back.
I'm just going for staying where I'm at.
Yeah, no worries. So you do have Chop Robinson on the board, Graham Barton as well, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman as well. I'm just showing you a couple of the options. Tyler Nubin as well for some of the options that the Bills do have at these positions. So, Sean, with the first pick in the 2024 mock draft, who are you taking if you are Brandon Beane?
Let me see. Definitely tempting to pick Chop. What D tackles are left? If you can go to D tackle.
Yeah, no worries. D tackle left. You do have Rook from
we got
Clemson.
plenty. Yeah, we got plenty. Yeah. About wide receiver again.
Wide receiver depth was A.D. Mitchell. You did have Xavier Worthy as well. Keon Coleman, Lad McConkey.
Yeah, we're waiting. We're waiting. Go to safety.
Safety was Tyler Nubin was the first one. Cameron Kinchins in the second round, probably. Bo Braid.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chop.
All right, Chop Robinson is the first Buffalo Bill in your mock draft, Sean.
Hopefully Leggett stays at 60.
All right, let's see if Leggett stays at 60. You do have depth here. Leggett is off the board. He did go.
Okay.
Let's see where Leggett went. So Leggett went to the Miami Dolphins, who traded up.
At 42. Wow.
42.
Okay,
Wow. Early on in the draft.
All right, go to wide receiver.
Wide receiver depth, you do have Roman Wilson at 68, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen McMillan.
Go to D tackle.
Overall, your defensive tackle depth, you do have Michael Hall. You do have Rook.
Safety.
Wrong, but you do have Bo Braid. Yeah.
Ooh,
Cole
see
Bishop as well.
It sucks because it's just like it's too early to get Cole Bishop and it's too early to get that receiver. Go back to receiver.
Yeah, no worries. Receiver Roman Wilson.
It's too early to get a guy like Pearsall and Wilson, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think that Roman Wilson is a good fit here. But I mean, listen, this is your mock draft. You got to make your decision. So
go to center and guard too.
Center and guard. Or let's go center first. You do have Cedric Van Pran available as well. You do have Christian Mahogany at guard there.
Damn.
You do have Braylon Trice on the board as well.
I already picked
edge, but
I'm not going to pick
you wanted to double down.
Get Chris Jenkins.
Chris Jenkins from Michigan. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So
okay.
At pick 128, this is the overall depth that you do have right now. You have Jaden Hicks at the safety.
No wide receivers left. You're not going to be able to stay at 28 and not make any trades.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you do have Malik Washington from Virginia, Jamari Thrash as well that are available at the wide receiver position. Jalen Wright for running back.
Get wide receiver on itself.
Wide receiver on itself. Overall depth, you do have Javon.
Go back to safety because we got pick and 5 picks. Go back to safety.
Yep.
Get Jaden Hicks.
Jaden Hicks is there.
And then go back to receiver.
Receiver depth here. You do have Malik Washington, Jamari Thrash, Jacob Cowing.
Javon Baker.
There you go. All right, let's go overall.
We got 1 pick left, right?
Yep, we have 1 pick. This is your actually a 1 pick left after this one.
1 pick left after this one. Okay.
Yep.
How about?
So right here, let's go.
Get Bo Lemur, one of the centers we talked about.
Got you here. So you
And then
did miss out.
And then get Luke McCaffrey.
All right. You do have a trade offer here.
Well, we could do one with trades, but yeah, I just wanted to see what it would be like if you didn't move at all. You just stayed put. I still got another
take. I apologize.
No, you're good. I wasn't expecting.
So what you are missing
running back
here,
right?
You're missing a running back.
Get Guerrero, Isaac Guerrero.
Let me just show you the size: 6 foot, 221 pounds. Just so that you're aware. All right, guys. Overall, you do have. This is going to be Sean's draft: Chop Robinson, Chris Jenkins, Jaden Hicks, Javon Baker, Bo Lemur, Luke McCaffrey, Isaac Guerrero.
That's if you don't move at all, and that's for 5 rounds. So that's pretty solid, I guess. I mean, you got safety, edge, D tackle, all needs. You know, a lot of people are high on Baker. You got Luke McCaffrey too, so one of them's got to stick. And then we got a center, so now we can put McGovern back at guard, and then you got a good running back too. So now let's do this, Brett. Let's stay at 28. Let's do another 5-round one. Stay at 28, and then we'll wrap it up after this. But then we're going to trade up. But then we're going to trade up in round 2 for Leggett.
Sounds good. All right, let me see
what's at 28, and then so we're not going to draft the receiver at 28, obviously, because we're going to trade up for Leggett in the second. But
hey, unless Brian Thomas is on the board, I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
If he's there, I'm going to do it.
Oh, he's almost.
We got so close.
Man, you could get JPJ here or Cooper DeJean and then trade up for Leggett.
I mean, incredible.
It's up to you. I mean, see what the chat says. Do you want Cooper DeJean or Johnson here?
Yeah, I'll let the chat decide real quick. Cooper
we're going to trade up for
Maxon Powers Johnson.
The goal is to trade up for Leggett, so and probably stop at 40 because the Dolphins traded up at 42 to get him. So we'll see what's up at 40 once we draft. But man, if it's like this, I wouldn't be mad at Johnson or DeJean here.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I do think that, in my opinion, of the two, I like Cooper DeJean. I think that he's a sleeper that Buffalo could go after.
Oh yeah,
I have a guy that fits exactly what Buffalo needs. I mean, look at all this that you see here. All the elite categories that you see, so many positives that you see from him as well. His weaknesses, I mean, muscle. That's something that you can fix in the weight room easily. More consistency playing the ball. That comes with experience. So not that big of issues here. But Jackson Powers Johnson is another player that, I mean, I absolutely love, that we've been talking about throughout the whole entire draft process. Could be a great fit as well. Let's see what the chat is saying. Nobody has answered yet. So
yeah, just get JPJ and we'll. Oh no, he said Trey Williams says DeJean. So yeah, get DeJean then, and then we'll keep it moving, and then we'll wrap up.
All right, so DeJean here. Let's just look at real quick before we do this. Let's just look at the second round where we have to trade. So Washington is probably going to be where we're going to have to trade, or Green Bay, somewhere in there. Just so that you know.
Well, they might not trade that. You know, I think. Yeah, just stop at 40 once it happens. Just try to stop it at 40 and then or pause it at 40.
So I did miss it by just a little bit. He's still on the board though.
Where is it?
So
where is it right now? 44. Yeah, trade with the Bears at 44.
Okay, 44 was.
Yep.
Chicago. Let's see what you're comfortable giving up. So you're comfortable giving up 60 as well, right?
Yeah, give up 60 and then give them this year's draft, give them like 204.
204. And what do you want to give up next year?
Nothing. Just see if they'll do that.
That was rejected.
That's fine. I'll give, instead of that, do instead of giving them 204, give them 163.
All right, 163. Let's see if they accept that. That was rejected as well.
So give him 163 and then give him something next year.
All
I think
right,
that's a lot to move up 15 spots, but
60, 163.
Give him a fourth next year.
All right, let's see what they say here. That was rejected as well.
I feel like that's a hefty amount. Try trading with the Saints.
All right, one spot back.
Do 60, 130, 60 and 144, and then give him a fourth next year.
Okay, let's see what they say.
It's a lot, but
they rejected that as well.
All right. So one more time, I guess we'll have to be unreasonable.
All right.
So
with the Saints, we are going to
do 60 and 133 and a third next year.
Let's try fourth, okay?
Oh, we've been doing fourth though, and they're rejecting it.
Yeah, but we moved up for 133.
Okay.
Let's see what they say. That was rejected as well. So let's try. I'm gonna try the third.
Yeah,
see what they say.
That's the last one, and then I guess we'll have to say screw it. 60, 133, and then a third.
That was accepted. So we are on the clock after the.
I'm gonna laugh if they pick him at 44. Okay, good.
They pick Chris Braswell.
Now the Saints wanted to trade back with us, but yeah, get Leggett.
All right, Leggett. Buffalo Bill.
Now we can just do it. You can just pick the rest of it now.
I'm gonna leave it up to you. All right, so we do have running back is probably going to be an option that we're going to have to go after. Safety has been addressed, so center as well. Do you need a center, defensive tackle? So Sean, I'm going to let you decide here. Jaden Hicks is an option here as well.
What about D-tackle?
D-tackle, let's just see the depth. Do you have Tyler Davis later on? I don't feel comfortable taking him here. Maybe a running back. Yeah, you're at 128.
We gave away 133, so we don't have a pick till 160.
Right. I just feel like the depth here, you don't really need a safety.
Ford wants Ray Davis, so just pick Ray Davis because that's what the chat's saying.
Ray Davis. Okay, sounds good. All right, best player available.
You can still get Tyler Davis.
Let's go Tyler Davis there as well. All right.
Ooh,
now this is a scenario.
Oladapo. Oh, we already got Cooper.
Oladapo.
We already got Cooper DeJean, so.
Together, that was talking to the chat, putting the two together. Just saying. I do feel like that's a good pick there. Then you have Micah Edwards as a depth piece as well.
Oh, yeah. You can do what you want. That sounds good. Why not?
I mean, let's see what the chat says real quick. I'll wait for the chat to answer here. In my opinion, I would go after another position. I would look at even wide receiver or offensive a center. So wide receiver, I feel like this is a little too late. There's not a lot of options here at the wide receiver position. Do you feel like center is just a little bit of a wait? But let's see what they're saying as well. Let me see what they're saying real quick. Wide receiver, check. Wide receiver. Wide receiver options I did pull up real quick. It was Jalen Coker as well as Jaquan Jackson, Cornelius Johnson. I do feel like that's not an option here. But overall depth, you do have Jaheim Bell, who probably isn't going to be an option. In my opinion here, I would take Oladapo.
You said check wide receiver.
Yep, I checked that too.
Oh, okay.
Yep. In my opinion, I would take Oladapo. I'm waiting on Joseph just to answer back if he approves that. I'll give him a couple more seconds to approve it before I do move on. We are going to take Oladapo here. And we are just a couple picks after. We do have some options on the board. Running back, Isaiah Davis, that we have answered the running back position. Now it's more about filling depth, Sean. Are you looking at defensive side or offensive side of filling depth pieces?
Oh, either or. They both need them.
What about the cornerback position? You got Elijah Jones. We haven't addressed that position as well. MJ Devonshire, another guy. I'm just telling you right now. This is a player that I think that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott are going to fall in love with. He's a little bit smaller, 5'10", 186 pounds, but this dude is a ball hawk. I'm telling you right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody that I believe will go up on draft boards significantly. So I don't think he's going to be available here. But I do think that this is a great fit for what Buffalo needs. So I'm gonna take him here, just because I feel like this is a really good option. Just fill out the depth for the cornerback room. So that would be my board here. Cooper Eugene and Oladapo filling out the safety room, and then cornerback as well. I think this is a really good draft. I do feel like I got screwed a little bit there, but it's happens though, man. But let's wrap it up real quick. We do have a couple of days before the NFL draft, man, and I mean this is gonna be crazy. We're at the draft coverage starting on Thursday, but we will have some coverage throughout the week as well, with Mike and Jake covering it on Wednesday. That'll be probably their final mock draft. You do have the AFC East Summit coming up as well on Tuesday, 8 o'clock. They will have draft coverage throughout the whole entire AFC East. But we do have
Mike and Jake are taking Wednesday off.
Oh, they're taking Wednesday off, man. We might have to start for that.
Another vacation for them. You know, they gotta take more breaks. But
we might have to move the
Thursday. They're going. You know, obviously they're going live for the draft, and you know we're going to be on there with them, and then they're going to bring filter people up, and we're going to do the first round. Last year we didn't do the whole first round. We're going to do the whole first round this year. So definitely stop by, guys. That'll be fun.
Definitely, for sure, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow all of the Nickel City Mafia on all of their social media platforms. You can find them on YouTube, Instagram as well. You can chat with us on Discord. Don't forget that we do have that Discord. The link in the description is below. Also, don't forget that we do have apparel as well that we have as well. We will drop that in the description below where you can get Nickel City Mafia apparel. Also, don't forget to click on over to the Red, White, and Bills. Check out Sean on all his social media. Also, Sean, I know that you have made a presence on the news lately, man. There's a news article that was written about you. I have checked it out, man. Incredible stuff going on for Dustbusters LLC in Western New York. Man, you're doing an incredible job. I just want to let you know that as well. If you're looking for somebody to clean your house in the central New York region, he's not in Western New York, but he is in the central New York region. This is the guy to go to. I will tell you that. He's more towards the Syracuse region. So check him out. Sean is an incredible guy. I've known him for a while, and he would be the only guy that I would trust to clean my house. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Thanks.
So,
I love how Mike doesn't respond for like 45 minutes, and then he comes in and join the Discord. He's all about Discord. So the founder says join the Discord. You guys better go join. It's fun. According to Mike, I'm not a Discord guy, but he said it's really fun. So I guess you should trust him and check it out.
Yeah, I trust him. I mean, I've been on Discord. I haven't been on it lately because of the injury, but I got to join back in. But it is fun. You get to meet new people all the way along. And who knows, you might be entered into a few giveaways coming up as well. We do have a few that we're going to start going off of. But, man, can't wait for draft coverage. Don't forget to tune in on Thursday, 8 o'clock, when we will start covering the draft. And also don't forget, click the notification button to be notified whenever Nickel City Mafia or Red, White, and Ruthless, if you click on over to him on YouTube, or myself Go Bills podcast. Click the notification buttons on that. It's just a little bell notification that you will see. You can click it and be notified whenever we are going live. This has been the Nickel City Mafia. We will see you next time for another edition of the Red, White, and Bills and Red, White, and Ruthless. Until then, go Bills.
Go Bills.